Let's go. It's Monday. We're live. We're live on a Monday. It's a mini Monday recaps. We had to make this show because the NFL is crazy. It's absolutely wild. Whatever we think is going to happen, it's like, yep. I mean, we hit every once in a while, but then you have games like, wait a second. Is that the 49ers up by like 30 on the Jags? No freaking way. And my homie, the co-host of every football show that we do, is obviously here. Syl, how we feeling today on a Monday, homeboy?
Hey, man, this was only necessary. Crazy games. And I was like, man, we got to recap this somehow. So the show was born.
We always had like the little chats and stuff, but it's never enough to like really fully expound on like what we saw and how to react to it. So yeah, the show is born, and obviously thank you Israel for being here, Money Train James, Josh Herrera, Neo Seven's here on a Monday. Let's go. Appreciate you being here, Marcus. And yeah, we had to get it, a Syl Nation Sports Network intro. Only right. We can't just start a new show and not have a nice intro. So I had to do it to him. But let's not waste any time, dude. You hit me with a list of reactions for yesterday's game, and we have like the games we really need to highlight. But then there's the other honorable mentions that I want to talk about. I'm waiting for those, obviously, because my teams ain't that good. But the first game that you got and you sent to me was the Browns versus the Ravens, which when we talked about it, I believe we both picked the Ravens at home because of the kind of the tear that they've been on, and when they've played good teams recently, and for some reason they've only scored 3 points, the maximum of 3 points these good teams have scored against the Ravens. But obviously it's different, right? It's different when you're a division rivalry game, and that AFC North, man, is different. It's different for some reason. Like that. We had at one point all the AFC North teams. I did on the power rankings, which was very funny. So let me get these stats up here real quick for us to take a look at and for the chat to look at. Deshaun Watson, is he back, dude? Is he back? How do you feel about that yesterday?
I'd say it's been a lot of Deshaun Watson slander. Now, again, we're keeping it on the field. We ain't talking about the personal life. He paid off what he had to. I'm not even going to touch on all that. Pun intended. No. But
whatever you bring up, it's got to be mentioned, dude. You're thinking about it. We're thinking about it.
But on the field, I thought it was mass disrespect for his talent and what he was a couple of years ago before all that mess. You take a year and a half off football, you're not going to be the same, the first couple of games, right? So, he didn't have the best numbers, and then he was hurt. He literally was hurt. He's like, my shoulder is not right. And like, oh, he holding out. He got his money. He holding. I was like, bro, he has no reason to hold out. He's a fully guaranteed contract. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my first thought was, oh man, he can't go to those masseuses anymore. So that's
but I got it. The first half, when I was watching this game, I was like, okay, the Ravens look like the superior team on both the O-line and D-line, which I was surprised by at first. He was pushing the Browns around. Second half, Deshaun Watson, because he got hurt first half, like his ankle got rolled up. Yeah. He comes back second half and has nearly a perfect half. And I was like, hey, you got to get respect when it's due. They ran the ball. Myles Garrett started touching up Lamar Jackson. And, I will say, I know we're going to do our Tuesday show, but my MVP rankings have been vastly changed. I'll just say that after this game. Yeah. It's been vastly.
I thought of, actually.
Yeah. And like I said, the power rankings is going to be interesting tomorrow as well, too. It's been some interesting shakeups of what's happened this past Sunday. But just one more thing with the Ravens is that, not saying, they're just the terrible team now. They're still leading the AFC North. The Browns and Ravens, they beat each other once. So they split their season. So it's, this isn't like the end of the world for the Ravens. But I'm strongly looking at them as just front runners only. I do not see Ravens as like this dominant team. They're they kind of remind me of the Cowboys, basically. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, if they're just leading, and you know what I'm saying, they got no one's threatening them, they could blow anyone off the field. But if you stay close to them and stay physical with them, you have a chance. Any game against them, and I think that's what it is, man. And one thing with Lamar Jackson in the fourth quarter, those you gotta have it plays and you gotta have it first downs. I didn't see him and his offense click, man, because it was a tight game all of a sudden. When they were leading by 10, 14 points, it was just loosey goosey,
Yeah.
OBJ dancing and stuff. But it's like, hey, man, when that's one thing I respect about Patrick Mahomes is that it don't matter if it gets tight and ugly, Mahomes is still gonna bring it, and that's probably why people always calls him the best quarterback, because he is. Lamar is like, bro, like, I mean, yes, you had an MVP year. You've been having an MVP season this season as well, worthy season, but he's got to have it moments, Austin. Deshaun Watson showed up. I didn't see Lamar Jackson in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I know, dude. And it's like the turning point for me in this game, because I kind of like tuned into it. I'm not sure if you saw this or caught this, but he like got into the sideline of the Browns, and there's this weird like scuffle that happened on the sideline. Like Lamar Jackson was all the way in on the Browns sideline and like couldn't get out, and then the Ravens offensive lineman just started like digging through all the people, and there was this huge scuffle on the sideline. He's back in. There he is. Yeah. There was this huge scuffle on the sideline for some reason, and after that, Lamar came out, and it was like, oh, he got in a scuffle because of the hit that, and I forget the guy's name, a Browns defensive back, like launched Lamar Jackson out of bounds and put him onto his back, and then that whole scuffle happened. Then very next play was an interception to that guy. He threw an interception to that guy, like, oh, and then all of a sudden they had the pick six as well. So it was like, man, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, there goes the momentum. Like as soon as it needed to shift, they shifted in the right moment, and then all of a sudden the Browns come back from down 14, make it a game, and they had a kickoff. This was there was 5 games yesterday that ended on walk-off field goals, and this is one of the things that happened. At least you could say this, right? As from an outside watcher looking in, Lamar Jackson should not have lost this game.
Nope.
But it's good for the Ravens to take these losses now, because hopefully you can learn from them. I keep saying this about all these losses for these good teams, but you need to take these losses now, learn from them, and not make these same mistakes. And then and recognize when you're about to make those same mistakes, so you don't make them again, because come playoff time, you can't. So if we see another loss like this where the Ravens lose by 14 points, for me, it's like, all right, well, you're not a Super Bowl contender. I thought they were going to be Super Bowl contenders after some of these, but not after a loss like this, because you shouldn't be losing these games.
Yeah.
By all means.
The only thing I would push back on, definitely. Like if the Ravens lost to like the Seahawks, like they lost a late lead. They lost a late lead to the Colts earlier this year, because the Colts are a tough, scrappy team, and that bothers the Ravens. I can excuse losses like that. It's when you lose to your division rival, when you lose to the Browns, when you should be up, you could have put this division further away with this win. It's almost like a playoff type of feel, I felt in this game, and for them to just lose control in the fourth quarter. It's just we cannot have that. And like I said, you got to be able to look at your quarterback and be like, okay, whatever happens in this quarter, he's going to figure it out, or he's going to be steady. I'm not going to blame everything on Lamar Jackson, but it's just you put them in these circumstances in the playoffs, and let's say they win their division still. And you got the Browns coming to town, or you got Pittsburgh coming to town. I'm not going to be like 100%, oh, the Ravens got this. No, because I've seen the Ravens get pushed around the fourth quarter 2 or 3 times now. You know what I mean? So it's just that little doubt that's right there. Now they can mess around and just blow out everyone the rest of the way. You don't have to worry about close games, but when things get tight, when it's playoff football, hey, I think the blueprint's out how to beat the Ravens. I think that's what this is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It definitely is. I mean, the Cardinals gave them a run for their money, and I think one of the craziest stats I heard today about the Ravens was they're like first overall scoring defense overall in a game, but just in fourth quarter they're 25th.
Yeah,
so like
that's crazy.
Why is that such a huge drop off? And hopefully it was just a bad game for the Ravens, but that's 2 losses now that they've had at home where they shouldn't be losing.
Yeah, I mean the Colts, went to overtime, and it's like, okay, they caught you slipping. Pittsburgh beat them late. It's like it's to a point now. It's like, okay, this is like a reoccurring thing that I can't put all my chips on that team. You know what I mean? And I didn't lose any money on them or nothing like that. I'm just saying, I'm not going to have that same confidence with them the rest of the way because I've seen them scoring this probably like, once a month they kind of have a hiccup like this.
Right. And what does that come down to ultimately for both of us? It's always coaching, man.
It comes down to, I hate to say it because John Harbaugh's a good coach. Like they have a good staff, but it's like I blame him more. I'll say this too, because I know it sounds like I'm putting a lot on Lamar and the offense. They did score 30 points. So they can't down. If you score 30 points, you should win any game with a solid defense. And so I'm looking at the defense looking kind of leaky out there in that fourth quarter. I know Deshaun Watson, he kind of woke back up, but it's just, you got to that's what someone said earlier. They don't have any closers on defense. The Ravens don't. Like, if you look at, like, Kansas City, they got Chris Jones up the middle, or you put him on the edge as well. Browns got Myles Garrett. They got some cornerbacks. Greg Newsome did the pick 6 in the fourth quarter. Like, you have all these other teams have closers. Pittsburgh, they have, like, a whole full defense worth of closers, right? So it's like, the Ravens have a solid defense. Obviously, their offense is good enough. They just can't close. Like, when it gets tight, who's going to make that play?
Yeah, and it's funny because there's a lot of huge names on the defensive side. One, namely, that I know is on there is I think 3-time Super Bowl champion, Kyle Van Noy, who's on that defense. So someone's got to step up, right? And usually when on a Ravens defense, what we know is the senior, the head, the guy who's been there, the veteran, usually steps up. And I don't care for the Ravens fans. I'm sure they don't care either. It's like, I don't care how long someone's been there. Even if Kyle Van Noy got picked up mid-season, if he can become like the captain of that defense and become the closer, like you said, I think it would propel them wonders. There's a lot of big defensive like closers that we saw today. Like I think our next game that we said that you got for me is, and we'll just pull it up anyways because I just want to talk about it, was the 49ers Jags, dude. Yep, that was the next one we had. What a crazy game, dude. What an absolutely crazy game. We did not expect that to happen. There we go. Boom. 34-3.
So I think we both expected the 49ers to bounce back after a bye week, right? And their defense to be on tag. I didn't expect a total obliteration. Like, even as hard as I was on Trevor Lawrence, I still was like, hey, you got Travis Etienne. You can kind of hide behind the running game or a short passing game with him. 3 points. Like, this is where people think I was being hard on Trevor Lawrence on social media when I'm like, Kurt Warner, the great Kurt Warner told me he wasn't elite. I keep saying this. Like, this wasn't me coming up with that. I say, hey, he's looking at his mechanics. And I'm like, let me look at the results. Is he elite or not? No, I don't see it. I agree with Kurt Warner. Right. Like, 3 points, though? Like, when you already – this is not like Patrick Mahomes getting 3 points, but it's like, okay, that's a bad day. Okay. Patrick Mahomes got caught slipping, right?
Right.
Trevor Lawrence wasn't looking elite at all leading up to this game. And then you get to this game where the 49ers had to win, and they obliterated you. You're not elite, bro. You have a scrappy team. Props to the Jags. They were my last year's dark horse. they better start. This division, the Texans are only a game behind the Jaguars right now, and the Texans already beat them once. So the next game could be the tiebreaker against you. The Jaguars ain't out of the woods, man. And
Yeah.
I think, Austin, I think more of this was the 49ers are back, right? I think that's what this game really showed.
Right.
Everyone wants to down Brock Purdy for being a system quarterback and all that stuff. That system looked pretty good against the Jaguars this past Sunday. So Chase Young looked good out there with his buddy Nick Bosa.
Yep.
They just tag teaming the line and everything. So they got the formula. Deebo Samuel, just him being out there changes their offense. That's why Deebo Samuel got paid this past year, because they know how important he is. So props to the 49ers. They're back on top of their division because they have the tiebreaker actually with the Seahawks. But Jaguars, yeah, you're pretenders for the rest of the year. You may still be in the top 10. We'll see tomorrow, but you're not cracking the top 5 like for the rest of the year. That's over.
It's over. It's over. We thought what we thought. We got to go back to week 7 when I said, this between week 7 and week 10 is really the period when we find out who the pretenders or contenders are. And it turns out the Jacksonville Jaguars are just pretenders at the end of that trial period. That's what we found out, unfortunately. And it's very funny to look at this and notice that they're both the same. They both have the same record, but like, my oh my, how different these teams looked on Sunday and can look. Man, how much more dynamic can your offense be if you hit the one person that didn't show up on this stat line, dude? If you look at this stat line right here, that's something from like last year. Why are we looking at last year's stats for this year? There's no. Is Calvin Ridley still suspended, or is he playing? Oh, he's playing, right? So
he's playing.
Why isn't he on here? You know what I'm saying?
What's up with that, man? And ETN stats is probably the running back. It's probably misleading because he gets a lot in the passing game too. But definitely, definitely Calvin Ridley is like, everyone said this is the #1 free agent wide receiver. He's top 10 level. He's still that same guy. He's just not getting the targets.
He's not, for whatever reason. Trevor Lawrence, man, get out of like. Do these quarterbacks who show promise and then show these like self-destructive games, do they all need to go with Aaron Rodgers to like an ayahuasca powwow and just like have an out-of-body experience and just connect with the football gods and then come back? All right, you're not doing something right. That's all I know. I don't know a whole lot about being an NFL quarterback, but I do know from what I've seen after watching it for over 20 years, you're not doing something right in your routine, in your preparation, and something, because we shouldn't have these lapses. You shouldn't look like a superstar one day and then not the next. Maybe you struggle during a game, right? But you should remain consistent as an NFL quarterback. This is your job, man. And that's what I hate about this too. How many Americans who work every day, anybody around the world who works every day, right? Maybe you're working weekends too. You're working nights and you're catching up on NFL football. And you're like, man, these guys go to work every day and they put into work to come on Sundays and play this game. But it doesn't look like people who are remaining consistently going to work every day or like doing the same thing every day, which anywhere else in any other line of business, you get fired for that. That's why I'm mad that Mac Jones was a starting quarterback for so long, because he wasn't producing. If you don't produce, if you're not up to the industry standards, you lose your job. That's what happens in any line of business. And that's what I'm sort of like, I despise all this poor quarterback play. And we just keep them in there. It's like, if you take them out, it's going to break them. No, it's not. Maybe you take them out, and then they have an experience where they're like, oh, I wasn't playing good enough. And they realize that they have to work harder. That's what happens in life. You get a setback, and then you learn from that setback, and you push forward. And if they don't push forward, then guess what? You never wanted them on your team to begin with. But if they do persevere some adversity, then they are a better quarterback. We've seen all these quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence especially, have plenty of adversity to go through. Even through the quarterback, even in the playoffs. He had that amazing comeback, right? and then the very next game like puts out a dud. That should not be happening. You know what I mean? That should not be happening. So I am disappointed again in Trevor Lawrence. I'm glad he's not on my fantasy team. You know, again, I'm glad to see Brock Purdy come back out and have a great game with his peoples, right? Trent Williams starting. All right, I'm good on my backside when I'm in the pocket. You got Debo out there setting the tone for the offense too. George Kittle looking like Randy Moss, dude, just over the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? That was a crazy. It was like a 60-yard throw or something. That was nuts.
That was crazy.
And just doing the Madden like strut into the end zone. That was so awesome, dude. Walk into the end zone, literally. George Kittle.
Like I said, you know, Brock Purdy and 49ers fans, no one should feel ashamed that he, you know, is, you know, for this system. He does need the weapons around him. That's like most quarterbacks. I mean, we're acting like everybody's supposed to be like Patrick Mahomes, playing with people dropping the ball, you know, all game. Like, you know, and Lamar goes to that too, but I still need Lamar to make certain throws. You know, that's a whole other story. But you know, Brock Purdy is not, you know, he's at the average to above average level quarterbacks. That's where the Derek Carrs are at. That's where Dak Prescott's at. That's where these guys are at, right? They're not elite. So they're going to have bad games. And then if they don't have their weapons, oh, yeah. You know, but Purdy plays the system. He has great coaching with Kyle Shanahan. And that defense, when the defense shows up, my goodness, man, like that gets ugly. But it is a luxury to have CMC on one side and Debo Samuels, and then they have switched positions, and one will be in the Debo will be in the backfield, CMC split out, you know, in the slot. Like they could play with, you know, with Debo out there. Then Brandon Ayuk, you forget him, George Kittle. So the 49ers are at their best, yes, when everyone's available. But I'm not going to knock Brock Purdy, you know, just because he's a part of a good team. He still has to play his part, and he did. He
did. throwing into like triple coverage, and Brandon Ayuk just snagging it, dude. Everyone was like, Brandon Ayuk's got it. All right, cool. Yeah, it's so funny. Kyle Shanahan's got like the ultimate team in Madden right now. He's got all the players back and healthy in position, and good for them, man. This is where you want to be at the beginning or mid-November, getting back and getting off the schneid. And the next game we got to talk about, somebody got put back on the schneid on this game. The Saints versus the Vikings, man. What a game. You got 2 words again this week for this week's star rankings?
Joshua Dobbs, right? I mean, this guy, man, what a story. First off, you know, he's like this big nerd out there. You know what I mean? He's a smart dude, but he's mobile. The Vikings, like we said, when Captain Kirk Cousins went out on a, you know, just an unfortunate Achilles, dude, he was probably gonna be the MVP.
he was, and the funniest thing that you call him that, right? You're the only person I hear call him Captain Kirk, right?
Yeah, I respect the leadership. Yeah.
NASA calls Joshua Dobbs because Joshua Dobbs like trained there or like had some kind of study program at NASA. They call him the Pastronaut, dude.
That's wild.
Captain Kirk Cousins gets filled in from the Pastronaut, dude.
That's pretty wild. And I mean, I'm just saying with the Vikings. Yeah, when Kirk went down, it's like I was like, man, like Justin Jefferson was just about to come back. Jordan Addison, the rookie receiver, ascended as, you know, really a true number 1, which is wild. And, you know, you got Kevin Osborne, you got the tight end, everyone over there. So I was like, man, that really sucked for the Vikings because, you know, just with a quarterback, this could still work. And then just, you know, the heavens opens up and Joshua Dobbs is available for trade. He goes over, don't even know the playbook. They win that first game because he was the emergency quarterback and the other quarterback got hurt. Now this game here, it's like they opened up like the playbook. Like they was like, you know, go cook, you know, and Joshua Dobbs was making throws. He was making runs. The Vikings now, they're not going to catch the Lions in the NFC North. Now, we understand the Lions are my pick for number 1 in the NFC, just for the regular season. And so the Vikings are going to be one of the most dangerous wild card teams. They just got to, you know, keep pace. They have a really good shot. Them and the Cowboys are likely, wild cards in NFC, and probably what the Seahawks probably as well too. So, hey, they got the formula on how they can win. I got to check their schedule and stuff like that. But very interesting. Now, on the flip side with the Saints, everyone realizes the NFC South, Austin, the only way to get in the playoffs, you got to win your division. And right now, they're only a half game up on Tampa Bay because Tampa Bay took care of business. We'll probably talk about them. And the Falcons ain't all the way out of it either for NFC South. So now this is interesting. These teams, are you packing it up? Are you selling? No, I think all these teams are going to go for this division, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you kind of have to, right? If you have the chance that you can't, no fan base is going to sit idly by as you just piss away a chance at the playoffs. Anybody in that NFC South division besides the Panthers, right? They're done. They pack it up, go home for the rest of the season. But the Saints, the Falcons, the Bucks, they all have a chance for immediate one home game in the playoffs, right? How much money is that too for your franchise? So yeah, if you have that chance, you got to take that chance. And Money Train James says the Saints ain't worried about the Bucks or the Falcons. We'll see about that, dude.
It should be.
Derek Carr is out.
Yeah, Derek Carr's out. Jameis Winston, you saw everything about Jameis in just that one quarter. Like he'd give you a couple big throws, and he'll throw it to the other team. He's one of the only quarterbacks. If you heard that old show, ESPN 30 for 30, it said Winston's the original 30 for 30. 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in one season. That's Jameis. That's why they call him 30 for 30. So he'll give and he'll take this away, right? No, I do not trust. And it's not like I fully trust Derek Carr at first either. Like, he was being a bad dad earlier, in the season. They tried to right the ship against, lesser opponents. Hey, this division is still wide open, except for the Carolina Panthers.
So, right, exactly, yeah. Three people have it wide open. Panthers are firmly out, dude. Yeah, and you look at this again. Like I said, Jameis Winston went 2 for 2 on the day.
2 for 2. That's the ratio right there. That's literally what we're saying.
You know it's gonna give you some, dude. And the thing about the Vikings open up their playbook, kind of like you said, got a brand new quarterback, dude. The Pastronaut, he's a genius. I think that they gave him their playbook and they were like, pick your favorite plays. Let's practice them. Let's just, let's do it. This is the ones that we kind of run already, but pick your favorite plays and let's practice them. And he delivered. He absolutely delivered. He made some runs when he had to. I will say, I'm sure that the team is going to tell him this. Although he made some great plays and great throws, he's throwing his teammates into some positions to get some shots, dude. Like over the TJ Hawkinson. I don't know how he played the full game yesterday. There was one time he got hit. He got hit again. And he just laid on his back for a second, and I bet you he let out one of these, just like a. Just on his ground, and then he got right back up again. I was like, damn, this dude's a beast. So yeah, I would just say that's one thing as a younger quarterback you have to kind of watch out for, is not throwing your teammates into a position where they're gonna hit. That's why Tom Brady, you see so many low throws from him, but it's so his receivers can get down to the ground, and they don't take a lick over the middle. So Joshua Dobbs, though, 23 for 34, 268, almost 300 yards, dude. Touchdown. And then TJ Hawkinson and Ty Chandler each had a touchdown too. The running back and the tight end, obviously. 11 receptions, 134 yards. That's a big day for a tight end, dude. Just producing. So obviously picking him up from the Lions was a great decision. And having him there, we're going to see JJ. We're going to see Addison very soon, I feel like, on this highlight reel too, or on the scoreboard. So
yeah,
they have a lot of potential, man.
Justin Jefferson should be back. They held him back this week, the receiver for the Vikings, and next week he should be clear off the IR. Back on my fantasy team. I'm excited for the Vikings going forward.
They got all the possibility in the world, and who would have thought, especially after you see Kirk Cousins go down, Captain Kirk Cousins go down. You're like, ah, man, that's usually when you write a team off, right? But then you get the pass or not, he wins you 2 games and wins you a game like this at home. How good that must have felt for all those fans, for the Vikings fans yesterday. So thank you. Also, I gotta say, yeah, as a Buccaneers fan, thank you for putting them down. And I never say thanks for getting someone hurt, but if a starter's out and Jameis Winston's playing, we're playing against Jameis Winston, I'm not ever worried about that, man. I'm not ever worried. I think the Bucs are undefeated against Jameis Winston since he got traded to the Saints. So yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. Thank you for beating the Saints. And the next game we gotta talk about. We were both wrong on this one, dude. The Texans versus the Bengals. We both thought the Bengals were gonna take a nice little win, and no, they did not, my friend. The Texans had a different decision about that, and I would say Bengals could have won this game, but the Texans were like, nah, dude. CJ Stroud, I guess he's going for MVP too. Like,
this is crazy, right? I mean, he was already going to be Rookie of the Year, just for the Texans winning games, he was going to get Rookie of the Year. You got to look across the board this season. This is a down year for Patrick Mahomes. He just doesn't have the weapons, but he's still putting up numbers and wins. Lamar, he 1 week he's great. The next week he's like, dude, it's supposed to be the difference. Yeah, CJ Stroud, rookie, going toe-to-toe with the Bengals, with Joe Burrow. Everyone was high on the Bengals for the last couple of weeks. They always start slow.
Me too.
Now they, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, now, this AFC is more quarterbacks getting over there. You can't just start 1-3 and then you could turn it on anymore. But I don't blame them for being shocked, in this game, because okay, CJ Stroud's one thing, right? But who is Noah Brown? Who is Nico Collins? Who is Tank Dell? These are the people he was throwing to, and they were destroying the Bengals defense. So I'm like, bro, I think at the end of the day, I still say this is a Cinderella type story for the Texans, but they are just a game behind. They are just a game behind the Jags in the AFC South league. And again, they can have the tiebreaker with the Jags. I don't know, man. Is the slipper going to fall off sooner? Because this is getting kind of crazy what the Texans are doing with people we just never even heard of.
Right.
And I still feel bad. Anytime CJ Stroud does anything, I just always look at the Panthers and I'm like, man, you could have had CJ Stroud. You traded the farm.
Everybody does.
Bryce Young is cool, but you could have had this, this stud right here. So as far as with the Bengals, though, hey, Joe Burrow, I mean, you had enough time to get healthy. You had your bye week already. It's no excuses anymore. If I'm going to be hard on Lamar, I'm going to be hard on Joe Burrow. You're supposed to be this dude, right? Where they called Arrowhead Burrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs, because he will own the Chiefs every year. I'm just saying, bro, when it's time to make plays, this is how I judge quarterbacks. You can be great all 3 quarters. When you got to have it, what are you going to do? Joe Burrow threw 2 fourth-quarter interceptions, and the rookie was poised as ever. I don't know what else to say with that, man. The Bengals, they are really in danger of missing the playoffs, which I was really shocked to have that conclusion after 10 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. And, well, it's just the AFC North, man. That's what it is. Nobody expected it to be that explosive and that competitive this season either. I definitely didn't expect the Steelers to be up there. The Steelers are I think we're about to talk about them too, our honorable mentions later on. But I believe they're 6-3 or something. It's crazy how this NFL season's kind of turned out to be. Obviously, injuries have a part to do with that. And then, how lucky though. You say and I feel the same way, right? Every time you see CJ Stroud do something, you're like, man, Panthers, you really messed up on that one, right? But in the same light, in the same sentence, how good do the Texans and Texans fans have to feel that the Panthers were that dumb to let CJ Stroud slip and they got to take him at number 2? How long had the Texans not have a quarterback, not have had a guy, and someone who really represents Houston? also. Not that CJ Stroud is from there, but like he seems like he's from the same ilk of the city. They love that working like blue collar kind of mentality that he has, and he doesn't like he doesn't say things just to say them, right? When he says the quarterback speak, I believe it. I'm like, yeah, this dude's doing it. Other people would just say things to like say it, right? Because it's the standard. That's what they've been taught to say. But CJ Stroud's about it. And you could see here, he said after his interception, he's like, I looked at my guys and I said, I'm gonna make that mistake up. That one's on me.
Mhm.
And he did, man. He absolutely did. He didn't throw 2 interceptions. He may only thrown 1 touchdown for you, but they got the other touchdowns where they needed to. And Joe Burrow, like you said, you can't be doing that. At this point in your career, you got to be past that stage. This ain't no sophomore slump. This is like what is his 3rd year in the league, and we're not going to blame it on injuries. We're not going to blame it on anything, but over the fact that you didn't make the right read where you should have. And this is the above average quarterback he's playing like. He's not playing elite like we consider him and think he could be, but that's an above average. It's like 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, man. We can go back a game and we got Jameis Winston with the same stat line. So you're playing like Jameis Winston, bro. So that's just how I feel about that. I'm disappointed in Joe Burrow, but thanks for getting Jamar Chase's numbers, at least for my fantasy team. I'll take that. And for CJ Stroud and the Texans, man, what a run. What a run this season so far. And I hope they keep going. I mean, I have no game in the race in the AFC South. So I hope they give the Jags a run for their money, because the Jags aren't playing like they deserve it. I want the team who's playing like they deserve it to go to the playoffs. And since there is so many good teams in the AFC, I'm not sure if they'd be able to make the wild card, the Texans. But they're up there. They're up there somehow. And shout out to what's the guy's name? The coach? I always forget it. I almost said Antonio Pierce. For the Texans.
Talking about the Texans, D'Amico Ryans, former linebacker.
Yeah. What he's going for coach of the year, man. Honestly, that's what it feels like.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about CJ Stroud getting at least MVP votes. I still think this is a good year for a defensive player actually to win it. But it's a long debate with that part. But if CJ Stroud's getting the love, you gotta get the love of the coaching. Yeah. He's the one to put this team together as far as the coordinators. He got a proper offensive coordinator because he's a defensive guy. D'Amico Ryans is literally a former linebacker for the Texans, probably the tackle leader, I think. Dang. He's a defensive guy, and the defense, they're building. They're still building that side of the ball. But you got your quarterback, and you got a good coordinator for your quarterback, and you got to give him credit, that they're in contention, again, to win their division, which is crazy.
Which is that I would not have said that or thought that at the beginning of the season. I always I love our preconceived notions of these teams, and nobody expected the Texans to be this team. So shout out to the Texans, man, for even being a team again and not being the laughing stock of the league. Just like as Money Train James says down there, coach of the year goes to Dan Campbell too. And perfect segue, because the Lions and the Chargers, man, what a game yesterday. What a shootout. One of the highest scoring games of the year, actually. 41-38. This one also came down to a last-minute field goal, and the Chargers found a way to lose like they always do. But on the other side of things, Dan Campbell said he wanted them to play hard, violent, and with tenacity or something like that. Like, he's the man. I love watching Dan Campbell in his post-game interviews. And David Montgomery's the running back. He had a post-game interview on the field, and they're like, yeah, we'll enjoy this too, but like, we're gonna go right back to work and start looking at what we can do better. Like, this is fun, but we're not done. And that is the mark of a team who wants to go far and go into the playoffs, not just to get to the playoffs. So they got all the markings of the dark horse for your number 1 seed in the NFC, but you need that Eagles team to lose. So how did you feel watching this game and seeing the Chargers give the Lions such a run for their money?
Yeah, well, with the Lions, I mean, these are the type of games you need to win on the road, across country, against, the other conference. They failed that test with the Ravens, but, a lot of people kind of plummeted the Lions down their power rankings after that against the Ravens. And I was like, no, this happens. You can just go get a butt whooping across country, once or even twice a season.
A lot of people, meaning me.
And it's just like, it's okay. Like I know they're a solid team. So this is your next test. Now, I actually would have forgave them if they lost this game, but they hung in there on the road against a desperate Chargers team, a Chargers team that likely is going to miss the playoffs themselves too. And the Lions put it in. I still, like I said, they're my dark horse for #1 NFC seed, because I feel the Eagles, they got still a couple more losses they got to kind of absorb. I think the Cowboys going to come back and beat the Eagles once. They play like some other good teams, so down the schedule there. And I just think the Lions, they have an easier schedule. That's one thing. But I think they're just built. They are literally built to win any kind of way. They can get physical with you. They can win on the shoot.
I can't hear you. Are you back?
And I feel that you can hear me?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, Goff is playing pretty steady. Okay. And he's putting up again, just not MVP. I'm not gonna call him MVP numbers, nothing like that. But what I'm gonna say is Goff is, he's doing, like Purdy. He's playing in the system. Goff is a solid quarterback, above average level. The running game, my goodness, David Montgomery, he gave you 100+. Rookie Jahmyr Gibbs gave you 100+. That running game is just sick. Shout out to my fantasy team for Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Peoples-Jones, I don't think he suited up this game. They got him from the Browns as a backup receiver or another receiver. Yeah. So their offense is just going to, expand more. Tight end Laporta, rookie tight end, solid as well. So the Lions, they look really good as my dark horse. As far as the Chargers, I mean, Herbert, he puts up numbers. I'm going to give, Justin Herbert credit. He puts up numbers. He finds Keenan Allen. It's just their defense, man. I can understand once in a while someone puts 30+ on you. This is happening every week for the Chargers. People are putting up numbers on them every single week. There's no aberrations anymore here. That's what's going to cause them to miss the playoffs, I feel, as far as with the Chargers. I think at this point, in their division, they're behind the Las Vegas Raiders now, who just overhauled their coaching. and now the Raiders are ahead, at least a half a game in front of the Chargers. So they're in trouble. The Chargers are in trouble. The AFC is too deep. And I think you're gonna see another coaching change if they miss the playoffs. I really believe that with the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, they have too many people to not play well. I mean, you can see that they're able to score, and in this league, in order to win, you have to score more than the other team. So what do you have to do? You also have to have a defense, and that's one thing that you can say, I guess, about the Lions. Like, they're beatable, man. They're absolutely beatable, but they can score. 41 points, didn't even have Peoples-Jones on there. Everyone's getting the ball. They're running. Like the first time in a while, you've probably seen the first and second running back on the depth chart have over 100 yards. So, just what a great game by the Lions. But as a Chargers fan, you got to feel gypped, man, because you do have. I would say Justin Herbert is playing elite. I mean, 4 touchdowns, man. Obviously, the interception doesn't look good, but it's only one considering you got 4 touchdowns, 323 yards, and you got over here 333 yards. So Jared Goff just playing just as well, but where's the defense at on both of these teams? That's what I'm kind of looking at. Come playoff time, you need to have a defense in order to win those games on the road. But yeah, what a great game by the Lions. They gutted it out, and the way that they won was just different, right? And they looked like they played and they won this game before, and then the Chargers lost. The Chargers found a way to lose somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I mentioned, as far as the formula for, we're talking about Super Bowl, we're talking about contending teams here, and how I was saying the Ravens need their closer. The Lions got there. They got Aiden Hutchinson from the University of Michigan. That's my favorite college growing up. And he's the edge guy. He can he can take you home if you need a stop, on the defensive end, or if they
Right.
double him, it opens it up for other people. So the Lions have the perfect balance. Like you see there, you got Montgomery 100+ yards running. Jahmyr Gibbs got it in running and passing, I believe, over 100 as well, all-purpose yards. So they're giving it to you any way you want it, and all you need is a smart quarterback, an adult quarterback, and they got that as well, and good coaching. So, and I know Israel's like, how's the Lions going to be number one seed? Well, first off, I mean, they do have a better record. You're 49ers right now, Israel, but also
right.
too, with the schedule, I still think the 49ers, they're still going to have a dogfight because Seattle's not going to just go away easily in their division. So it's still going to be another loss or two for the 49ers. The Lions, literally, I think they can go probably the rest of the year, probably only get like one more loss. Like, really. I really feel their schedule's going to be that soft. And they're a complete team, and so that means a lot. That definitely means a lot in NFC. And but when it comes playoff time, Israel, we'll talk. We'll talk when the 49ers got to go to Detroit. We'll talk then, bro.
We're going to give our final power rankings for the season are going to be very interesting. It's going to be, obviously, we'll see it, but the rankings for playoffs and all that, that'll be set. But I can't wait to see where everyone ends up. There's 8 more weeks of the regular season, technically. I still said adult quarterback. Yay.
It's a formula right there. Unless you're like a young gunner, like CJ Stroud.
Right. If
you're just crazy talented, you can get away with that too.
You can make plays. That's what they always say. The ability to create. I'm like, that's kind of what all quarterbacks do. But you know how they have to overhype things when they broadcast stuff, and that kind of goes through our ones we really want to highlight. Now we got to do our honorable mentions, which we don't have the Raiders down in here. So Necron wanted to say that the Raiders got the job done. Like, yeah. All right, man.
That's fair.
Cool.
That's fair.
They beat the odds, I will say, because usually the 2 weeks after an interim head coach gets put in, the team almost always loses. But they beat the odds and they beat the Jets. But I'm kind of upset that the Raiders won because I want the Jets to win. And this is one that they could have won in order to stay in pace and try to beat them in the playoffs for Aaron Rodgers to come back.
To get Aaron Rodgers to come back. Yeah. And that's. It was all about the Cinderella story, the fairy tale ending, which it seemed like they were really set up for. Now, it's not all dead for the Jets, but it's just going to be really difficult. And no one wants to see Aaron Rodgers rush back, right? But, because we want to see them running back next year and see what really happens. But with the Raiders, the reason why I was hesitant to put the Raiders as like even an honorable mention, Austin, is because I don't see this sustainable at all. I mean, this is a great story. Antonio Pierce, former player, is a player's coach, and he's, level eye with these guys. Their quarterback's terrible. Aiden O'Connell, their offense is terrible, man. I couldn't get through that game last night, bro. Like, that was a terrible game to watch. Raiders and Jets. I never want to see the Raiders or the Jets until Aaron Rodgers comes back. I don't want to see them in primetime ever again. The Raiders, all I'm saying, this is not sustainable. It's great. You're 5-5. Right now, you're still going to see a lot of good AFC teams, and this story is going to go away. And maybe they found their coach, and that's great going forward. But Raiders, no, you need a quarterback. No, you do not have a quarterback. You just happen to face a team that really didn't have a quarterback either. That's why the Raiders won that game. So that's why I didn't really put that in honorable mention. But if you have some words for the Raiders, it's all good.
Nah, I don't really. I feel the same way. I'm mad. I'm mad that they won because I want the Jets. I want Aaron Rodgers to be in contention for the playoffs. So when we watch the playoffs, we can have some A-Rod like magic. That's the last like great Hall of Fame quarterback playing right now. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. We'll say he'll probably make it in the Hall of Fame for his numbers, but he doesn't always play. Not this year at least like a Hall of Fame quarterback. Which is when he's on the field. He makes everyone greater. And obviously we've seen this season that like he needs some kind of weapons. When you shut down Travis Kelce, the other guys aren't making enough plays and they aren't playing well enough. So not that that's always on Patrick Mahomes, but that's just the pedigree of these Hall of Fame quarterbacks that we've been used to watching, man. And Aaron Rodgers and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady playing with these nobodies and making them look like legends. Julian Edelman being like, named Austin Collie, Dallas Clark, like these people were like nobodies, and now they're household names because these quarterbacks made them that way. And no Kenny pick six is gonna make anybody great, I don't think. And it's Mike Tomlin who got the win for the Green Bay against the Green Bay Packers at home. I don't know if I called the upset. I don't think I did. Because we got no love for Jordan Love anymore.
No love
on this show, as you say. So how was your feelings about this game when you watched it and kind of saw it came down to the wire almost? Jordan Love had the chance, dude.
Yeah, he had the chance, but I've mentioned this for honorable mention because just briefly, like you said, it's about Mike Tomlin, man.
Yeah.
That defensive unit. We talk about TJ Watt, 1B defensive player of the year, Highsmith on the other side. Minka Fitzpatrick is still out, so when he comes back, they're really gonna shut down the secondary. But the Steelers, man, they find a way to win these games in the fourth quarter. Just hang in there with the team. Kenny pick six, don't throw 2 pick sixes. You probably get with 1, but not 2. So as long as you do that, we have a chance in these games. And even our defense will score is what they're thinking as well. So the Steelers are right there, a half a game behind the Ravens. They currently have the tiebreaker, because they beat them once. The Steelers beat the Ravens head-to-head. We'll see what happens when they play again. But just mentioning the Steelers because they find a way to win, and hey, they're right there in that division. They still have a better record than the Bengals, which is just crazy.
Who would have thought that? Even just a couple of weeks ago, you're like, yo, 2 weeks from now, Steelers gonna have a better record than the Bengals. You'd be like, no way, dude, no way. And the game, another game that happened at 1 o'clock that I was watching, and I got very annoyed. Let me talk about this: Titans versus Buccaneers. I got very annoyed. Because I like to watch the red zone, man. I like to see what other games are going on, especially because I got a fantasy team. I got to see what these other teams are doing. The whole time I'm like, yo, where are the Buccaneers? I had to go over to just a specific Buccaneers broadcast. I literally saw them score, went back to red zone, and they didn't show the score. I'm like, isn't this the channel that shows every single score from a Sunday?
Just a quick word on that. I sat there because I was watching. I like to watch the red zone as well. So this past Sunday, I felt like they weren't hitting all the games like they should, or probably the games I wanted to see. I convinced myself next season I'm getting an NFL ticket. I'm going to get all the games.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go to the game I want to watch. You could do if you have YouTube TV, you could do the quad box or whatever.
Quad box.
But yeah. Red Zone, I don't know what it was, but I got really soured by their performance the last couple of weeks. It's let's get to the games. I know everybody's not in the red zone, but then they go to a game that's not in the red zone, and you don't care about that game.
3rd and 14 I'm like, who fucking cares about this?
They show every field goal. I'm like, bro, this got to be a game you can show right now.
Right.
I understand field goal, you can get blocked. Just show us if it gets blocked.
Show us the replay, yeah. Game rewind.
I really got upset about red zone yesterday.
I was so mad, dude. I'm like, oh really? We're just not gonna show that at all? So then I went back to the Buccaneers broadcast, and as soon as I did, it was sweet because Devin White made a 3rd down sack that it was a crazy play. So watching this game yesterday about the Buccaneers, tale of 2 different teams. If they played like this against the Texans, I feel like they would have. I don't think the Texans would have came into Cincinnati yesterday and won that game because I don't think they have that much confidence if the Buccaneers play the Texans like they did the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, 2 different teams, 2 different weekends. But Todd Bowles, he's on the hot seat still for me. But I will say, after last week's game, he said that we're going to have to take a good long look in the mirror. And that was due in part to the fact that their defense was not showing up and not playing like they should have been and not playing like they were just a couple weeks prior. They just were phoning it home. And Levante David had a massive game yesterday. And Devin White also had that's who I was trying to think of.
Mm-hmm.
But with all that being said, the defense dropped 3 surefire interceptions. 3 of them. And then Mike Evans dropped a wide open pass and then a wide open pass in the end zone on like the same drive. So this game could have been like 35-6, but it was still a good, hard fought game. But to me, we're not playing like we're a one and done. We're playing like a one and done right now. Even though we're in contention, we're half a game back due to everyone else losing yesterday. And we're going to talk about the Falcons and Cards in a second. So we're playing to get in playoff contention, but we're playing like a one and done. But hey, let me scroll down real quick to show you that for the first 9 seasons, Mike Evans has had a 9 consecutive seasons of having over 1,000 receiving yards. With 143, he is over 800 on the season, I believe. Or just under 800 on the season. There's still 8 more games left. So he has a chance to break NFL records and set one of the craziest records of all time. On the same team from year 1 to year 10, he has the potential to get 1,000 yards consecutively, which is amazing. So shout out to Mike Evans for at least making up. He could have had like 200 yards yesterday, with the drops that he had. But still a good game from the Buccaneers. I love to see it, and the jury's out on Will Levis, I guess.
Yeah, well, Will Levis. I mean, he's rookie quarterback. Their offensive scheme probably wasn't the best with Ryan Tannehill, previously. So he was going off of raw talent when he came in that first game and lit up the scoreboard. Now teams like, okay, this guy's a gunslinger, likely. Can he read defenses? And right now he can't. He's not, he's a rookie, right? This is like his 3rd game starting ever. Right?
Confusing, I guess.
So they need a good offseason with him. They have their guy for, at least the next couple of years. You can see what he's made of for about 2 seasons or so. You still have Derrick Henry, though they're like not trying to run Derrick Henry. I don't understand that one, but
he got shut down yesterday.
Yeah, and the defensive front is always steady. The Bucks, I'm not sure if Vita Vea played. You probably would know better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that really helps their D-line, their run defense. But as far as with Levis, I mean, you got D-Hop. How much longer is he really going to play? They're going to draft some weapons in the draft. The Titans, I'm looking forward to the entire AFC South next year because you got C.J. Stroud, you got Anthony Richardson, you got Will Levis right here, you got that punk Trevor Lawrence in that division. So it's going to be a really good division going forward. But hey, like I said, credit where it's due. The Bucks, they're making this an interesting run for the NFC South. And I said yesterday, I said they're going to get a good home win for the crowd. But now, now the Saints lost. I was like, now they're looking up like, hey, we're still in this.
Saints lost. And the Falcons lost yesterday, which was somehow Arizona Cardinals get a win, which is nice. Which is nice. Yeah, thanks. Which is nice because I know, namely for you, that puts the Panthers right back in number 1 spot for the first draft pick, right? Is that why you wanted to talk about that?
Well, definitely. Honorable mention. Well, the first and foremost is because to give love to Kyler Murray returning and to see him, really running around. He's fully back, right?
Balled out.
Fully, yeah. And people forget, just 2 seasons ago, he took these Cardinals to the playoffs. I mean, I know he didn't play good when he got there, but give him credit. He won like 11 or 12 games that year. He is a franchise guy. Now, can he last more than 5 years? We'll see, how that goes. But the Cardinals are not worried about drafting a quarterback. You have a quarterback, right? So that's good. That means, yes, side note, they're going to win enough games. I think exactly. Draft some guys, get some free agents, they kind of did like a quick reboot, but you still got your quarterback. So that's good.
Yeah.
They're going to win enough games to not be in the top 3 in the draft, which gives my Bears a chance, not just the Carolina Panthers pick, but just our own play. We're going to probably finish under the Cardinals as well, too. So we're going to get top of the 2-3 picks in the draft. So that's good. But this honorable mention was just to give love to Kyler Murray, all-pro quarterback. Good to see him back healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Give love to Kyle Murray and thank you again. I said thank you to the Vikings. Thank you to the Cardinals and Kyler Murray for coming back and balling out and beating the Falcons. So you had the two teams that were above the Buccaneers both lose yesterday, and then the Buccaneers get a win. So that's why they jumped up from third to second in the standings, and they're only a half game back on the Saints. And if you're looking at the Saints without Derek Carr, and you got Jameis Winston on there, I'm not worried about it. Before we just take a look, I want to take a look at those standings real quick for the NFC South, because you'll see what I mean right here. Saints 4-5 or 5-5 actually. Then the Buccaneers 4-5, Falcons 4-6. So these two, everyone lost, and then we're on back off the snide. But I will say, and Israel knows this probably, next week the Buccaneers have the 49ers. So that's going to be an interesting game to talk about. But the last honorable mention we had, a game that turned out to be a game, and I called it on Sunday. I was like, man, don't sleep on the Commanders, because Ron Rivera might not know that he traded his best players, but because his team is not playing like they traded the best players, dude. Almost won the game. But the Seahawks, they have a walk-off, and the kicker wins it for them. They're at 6-3, dude. They might win their division. They're trying to win their division over the 49ers. No one would have thought that. No one would have thought that a couple weeks ago either. So how did you feel after and when you were watching this game, bro?
Yeah, just an honorable mention here because the Seahawks, they're trying to, keep pace with the 49ers. The 49ers came back in full force, so that's setting up a good matchup in the future, between those two teams. The winner is going to win the division, most likely, the rate that this is going. So just the Seahawks, keeping pace. They are kind of like a worser version than the Lions to me. Like, I think the Lions both these teams are complete. I just think the Lions have a little bit more talent, a little bit more skill positions, just a little bit better, I feel, overall. And the Lions have a true closer on defense, Aiden Hutchinson. So the Seahawks ain't quite there, but we've seen the 49ers struggle already, this season. So you can't sleep on them in this division in the NFC West. We'll see what happens, though, by the time they play each other again. You're muted.
Thanks, bro.
Okay. I was thinking, I was like,
I didn't realize. No, we think some of these games are going to be games, and they're not. And I just hope when the Seahawks and the 49ers meet again, that they're both healthy, because if they're missing just a couple of people, we've seen that the 49ers are a completely different team. That's one thing you got to be worried about, Israel 49ers fans. If you need to have depth in the playoffs, man.
Real quick, good point with Israel. He's saying the 49ers haven't played the Seahawks yet, which is very interesting this late in the season. So those two games are these are almost worth like double wins each. Like, whoever, if they split, then we'll see what happens. But the Seahawks got to be thinking we got to beat the 49ers twice, and then we're winning the division. That's how they got going to that game, man. So that's wild.
That's wild, dude. Look at this standing: 6-3, 6-3. Man, those are gonna be like prime. They better be prime time games. If not, like those are must see games, because that's for the division. If somebody wins one, then you better come back and tie it up, because everything is up for grabs in that division, especially between those two. Rams and Cardinals, though, they're firmly out. We can count on that. But all in all, we gotta say, what a day, man. What a day in the NFL life. Some teams got mollywopped. We weren't expecting some teams to go out like they did, but our teams got wins, man. You can firmly say week 10 for Sylabdul, both your teams won, dude. The Colts and the Bears both won in the middle of the season, bro, on the same weekend. When does that happen? Talk about stars aligning, bro.
It was mostly the Bears' fault when it doesn't happen, but it's good. The Colts again are just being scrappy in the AFC South, But again, it's all about us just keeping that unit together, because we got our phenom coming back next year, Anthony Richardson.
Dude, I wish I miss him, dude. I love to watch him play, and then like it made me excited for the Colts football
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
they got a good defense, man.
Oh yeah,
They got a good
great
team.
running game.
Yeah, right. Phew.
And I mean, he's literally, it's like Cam Newton. Like he literally is Cam Newton. It's crazy.
Yeah, but maybe better. But he also might be Samuel Jackson from Glass or whatever. You know, he just built.
I tell you, yeah, the shots he was, but the shots he was taking like sternum punches. Like
That's right. Yeah.
it was like, bro,
Something
slide, like slide down.
Yeah, dude. Just you gotta take some lessons from TV12 and from Peyton Manning, dude. They got that baseball slide there, dude. They're good at that. You gotta know how to take a hit and improve the longevity of your career, man. We need to see AR stand out in Indianapolis. But man, what a great show. What a great recap on everything. Hopefully most of these are what a great way to start, actually. Because like I said, both your teams got to win. Bucks got to win. I knew the Patriots were going to win, so I'm not worried about that. But it's a good way to start because we both feel good about our teams winning. We'll see how it goes from here, right? I might have some salty Mondays after this where I really got to go off on the Buccaneers. But you want to promo anything? Obviously, we got power rankings tomorrow, right? But anything on the geek side of the world?
Well, yeah, definitely. I got finished. Well, as far as with the sports side, I got finished putting my power rankings together. I had to sleep on it because tonight's game, we already gave our prediction on that. Check that out. It should be on the Soul Nation Sports Network soon as well.
Yep.
I'm not too worried about the Bills and Bryce. I'm gonna watch it because it's football, but that's not going to affect my power rankings at all. So my power rankings is gonna be done before that game probably even kicks off. But I look forward to that. Also, this stream here, y'all probably catching this live, or hopefully most of y'all on Austin's channel catching this live. We're also on the Still Nation Sports Network channel. We're going to have it clips of this, of our takes, our NFL hot takes from this mini Monday wrap recap going forward. And like you said, power ranking show, probably my favorite show during the week because it's technically, after Monday, it starts a new NFL week. So it's week 11, tomorrow, and we're going to look at the week 11 power rankings and, probably tick off some fans of different teams. So always looking forward to the Tuesday show. The geek stuff, it was a nice crossover with Rebel Moon. You did your watch along yesterday. Zack Snyder invading NFL Fox Sunday.
Love it.
Fox, that's just crazy, bro.
I love it.
I did my video and recap and breakdown commentary. Had a lot of fun doing that because we were just waiting for something to come out about this so we could just go crazy on the content, man. So nice crossover with the geek world and the sports, the Rebel Moon, and just check out that full coverage on the Geek channel as well.
Absolutely. Make sure that you're following both of us if you're not on Twitter too, because you're missing a whole other side of things. If you're not following Still Nation Sports Network, you're missing a whole other side of things. You got NBA over there, we got boxing over there, you know what I'm saying? So make sure that you're following Still Nation Sports Network on Twitter as well. If you're sub to the channel, thank you. If you're on my channel, thank you. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Obviously, live crew, you got a special place in all of our hearts. Be back tomorrow for the power rankings, because the point is to make sure I got your teams in a spot where it's gonna piss you off.
I'm thinking some Sparta kicks right now. I'm thinking of these Sparta kicks.
I'm gonna get that clip tonight, so we got it for tomorrow. Yo. But everyone, have a great night. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Fall asleep to it because it's probably going to be boring as hell. And we'll see y'all tomorrow, all right? Peace.